And John, you're going to talk also about the capstone experience?
I can. The capstone experience is something that we've been doing really well at Brewster Academy for maybe the last 10 years. Just in the last few years, it's become formalized under something called the AP capstone. But at its heart, what we do with capstone experiences is find something that a student is really, really passionate about, and then give them the opportunity to take an academic approach to that. It could be, I was meeting with a young man yesterday who loves skateboarding, and we started talking about angles and what it meant to build a skateboard ramp. And I started to explain to him how that could be actually an academic project that could become a capstone experience. Most importantly, what happens through the capstone experience is students bring something to the table that they care deeply about. They work with their advisors, their teachers, to then formalize that into a problem that they're seeking to solve. And in the process, they learn public speaking skills. They learn how to write and clearly articulate their ideas. They learn research and analysis. Importantly, they also focus on teamwork, goal setting, critique, and reflection. And when we look into the crystal ball and we say, what skills do our students really need in the future? Many of them are expressed and practiced through the capstone project. We do this at the lower school. And so in the 5th grade, as the students are going into the middle school, we do this again in the 8th grade, and then finally in the 12th grade. So by the time a student graduates, they've had these 3 capstone experiences, and we feel that they're really prepared both with the academic skills and the dispositions to be successful at university.
Hi there. I think I'll jump in here and talk a little bit about the faculty. I'm just blown away by the people who are interested in working with us. I think our approach, our collaborative approach as educators is something that's drawing faculty. And I think Madrid also is a pretty spectacular place to be. All of our teachers whom we've hired thus far possess advanced degrees, all native English speakers. And we imagine that upwards of, by the time we're fully hired, everyone who will be working with us in the coming year will probably be around 90 to 95% native speakers, as there are some language teachers who will be coming to us having their primary language be the target language. I'd also share with you that we're drawing from 3 areas, right? We're drawing teachers from the United States, and we're drawing Americans who are already in Madrid, but we're also drawing from a pool of international schools from around the world. And if many of you might not be familiar with that world, but it is very frequent that those teachers are on a 2-year contract. And we've been clear in our conversations with those faculty members that we're really committed to, we're putting down roots here in Madrid, and it's important to us as we're seeking to build a community for both our teaching faculty, for our families, and most importantly for our students, that we're not looking to have people just come for 2 years, right? We are here for the long haul, and it's really important to have a core, particularly in our first year, be working with a core group of educators who want to be working together, want to be building relationships with students and families, and also professional relationships with their colleagues. I'll pass it back to Craig.
So I will, let me just kick off academics and then turn it over to John Fauser, if I may. We have three divisions: the lower school, the middle school, and the upper school. Big picture, the lower school is entirely focused on the work of ensuring that the creativity, the joy of learning, and the joy for life are maintained and augmented. The middle school is ensuring that the skills and habits of mind that kids gain in the lower school are activated so that middle school students who can typically have two paths, right? Middle school students, research shows that some middle school students will get more interested and some will get less interested in their academic studies. Our focus is to ensure that we capture the creativity and the curiosity that we're cultivating in the lower school and ensure that those kids can really dig in the middle school in ways that make learning joyous. And the upper school is entirely leveraging all of the work that we've done prior to ensure that students really are ready to move into university and life beyond in ways that will allow them to act on their skills and habits of mind in service to others. So let me turn it over to John.
Thank you, Craig. And I think one thing to really think about as we start in our first year, often we talk about students that will be with us from the age of 5 through 18. But next year, we're going to have new students coming in from all over the world, from all over Madrid, and we're going to spend a lot of time getting to know our students. Any student who has gone through our admission cycle would know that we're asking questions about what are the students interested in academically? Who are their friends? Where do they derive joy? What are their challenges? What are their relationships like with their teachers? And we ask those questions because next year, when we work as a founding group of students and faculty, we're going to focus on building a common culture, a culture that allows us to accomplish what we need to. And I think there's a real thrill about building this together. So I just wanted to put that out there because often when we talk about it, we say, oh, here's our 12-year vision, but next year is really a special year. I'm very excited about the lower school because we are going to fully harness the creativity and joy of learning. And we think about this in using a 4P pedagogical approach called projects, passion, peers, and play. And this comes from, I think, groundbreaking work of Mitchell Resnick, who runs the Fab Lab at MIT. And he says, really, we should all be kindergarteners because they have a joy for life. And what we want to do is maintain that joy throughout our school. So in our lower school, you will see joyful learning. The students will be agents of their own learning, and we will have transformative competencies. All of our learning will be supported by standards and practices to ensure that students meet critical benchmarks. And when they don't, we will work with and support the individual child to success. Next slide, please. I think we're really excited about the middle school for a couple of reasons. One, we're calling it the studio. And you might ask, why the studio? And because what we're asking our students and teachers to do is to create a place where students become artists of learning. We're taking the joy that they have as a young child and now trying to marry that to a deep purpose. And we do believe that middle school students need to be treated very specifically and attended to in certain ways. They have a lot of energy, and our challenge is how do we harness that energy and make sure that all of the kids take the right path. They continue to engage in school. They continue to be excited. And we know the way to do this is not to have students sitting in rows, listening to a teacher share ideas with them, but is to truly engage them with each other, to engage them with the city. And as so many of us have said tonight, what better place to learn from than Madrid? We use this idea of igniting curiosity to explore passions. In our middle school, it will be project-based. We will use the city as a campus. Students will be problem solvers and real-world problem solvers. Students are agents of learning, have voice, and certainly will create, critique, and reflect. We feel that that's really, really important. We are educators, and we know that as we go out and we build this together, that something really remarkable will happen. And I can't wait to see how this launches next year. Next slide, please. The upper school, this is something that we have vast experience with, working with high schoolers, and we really believe that we're on to something, preparing students for the future through smart rigor and deep engagement. And I particularly love this word, smart rigor. Smart rigor is really an approach that allows students to fully validate their own ideas, their own questions, what they notice in literature, in art, in mathematics. And the learning really focuses on each and every student. The key to this is application and transfer of critical skills. As I mentioned, this is not about rote memorization and taking tests. It's about learning and deeply learning academic content to then do something with that. We have our signature capstone experience, which teaches research, leadership, and presentation skills. Advanced placement classes. We will have a nice selection of advanced placement classes next year and into the future. We will become an IB-DP school in 2024. So students in our 11th grade in 2024 may start the IB-DP program. Very important to note that we will have individualized university counseling. We know that students today have the world at their disposal in terms of university. And for that reason, one of our first hires is a world-class college counselor or university counselor. He will be engaging with students even as early as the 10th grade, not to put pressure on them, but to help them navigate through 10th grade and 11th grade, because some of those decisions will have will be consequential as they start to think about, will I go to school here in Spain? Will I go to the Netherlands, the UK, the United States, or to Canada? And finally, the American experience. Students in our 11th grade and potentially 12th grade next year will have that opportunity to go to Wolfboro, and not only go to Wolfboro, New Hampshire, but they will have opportunities to visit leading universities in and around Boston, and they will get a real taste of what it means to be in the Northeast or in New England. So that's the upper school. Next slide, please.